Hello, everyone. My name is AJ Archibald, and welcome to the open house for mycheapjobs.com. The seller is Jim Vidmar. Say hello, Jim.
Hey, doing?
And we'll do a little housekeeping to start with. If you haven't already dialed into the audio bridge, please do so now. You can also use your computer's integrated audio to listen in. During the call, you will be on mute. If you would like to submit questions, please do so using the questions feature in the webinar's control panel. We will generally field all questions verbally at the end of the webinar unless one is pertinent to the current slide. So here we go. Here is My Cheap Jobs. The annual revenue is $239,895. The annual COGS is $139,864, and the annual expenses are $21,700, which leaves you with an annual profit of $78,331. And the asking price for this site is $150,000. So, Jim, could you tell us a little bit about the history of My Cheap Jobs?
Well, the history is I'm a software developer by trade. I had my first software site in 2001. It did very well, and that went on for a good. It went very strong for a good 6, 7 years. But then when Zynga came around and crushed my gaming software, I saw the emergence of social media. I started doing social media marketing, and so around that time, also around 2008, 9, we started making social media marketing software, and then I thought, well, why not create a site that not only I could sell my software on the site, but it will be a social media marketing site, that specializes in that. So I could get a 20% discount, but the best thing it would be is that I could control it, and that I could know who the best sellers are, and have my go-to guys, and as I call it, I would have my trough of experts that I could go to, because at that point, when I created My Cheap Jobs, I had been in online marketing for a good 10 years. So it was very important to me to just have a go-to site that I just knew, because at that time I was using other sites and other things, and they wouldn't work out so well. So I was like, well, if I had my own site that I could control, and I knew all the guys, and I knew everyone, and on top of that, get a 20% discount, then it's been great, because it's really turned into uh, one of my arms for marketing. So it's that's basically the history of the site.
All right. And for the next slide, let's go too fast. And the site started back in 2011. Is that right?
It actually started in 2010. Now, between 2010 and 11, I was just really building the base.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, that's I see that you have, that there's seems to be a little, you
A
know
little bit of a lag there. Right.
yeah, 2010, but not much happened, because I was like, okay, how do I get this started? And so I was busy that whole year. I think maybe you only sold the whole year, sold maybe like 2,000 in revenue, and I was just totally base building and trying to get sellers to come in and register and list jobs. So
Gotcha. Gotcha. As the traffic seems pretty stable, or is there any
yeah.
seasonality to the site at all?
No, I mean, and that's really the strong point of My Cheap Jobs. It is just so predictable. I mean, it's just so. unbelievably stable. I mean, you can count on every single day it gets between, you know, 1,000 and 1,300 hits. Weekends are slower. Saturday, Sunday it'll get 1,000, and then Monday, Tuesday, it gets most of its, people coming, are like coming back to work and getting down to business, and so yeah, there's I also do notice like in January, February, I will see an increase of activity sales because there's literally this New Year's resolution that I'm going to get this business going, and so people come back, and they from the holidays with these resolutions you know to supercharge things, and so there's definitely has been spikes over the years in January and February.
Awesome. And I see most of the traffic, a majority of the traffic is from the U.S., and it's pretty representative of the internet in general. You have a lot of Indian traffic, a lot of UK traffic, Canadian traffic, etc.
Yeah, every single one of those, regions is, yeah, very indicative of the site. I mean, basically, 1, 3, 5, and then 8 and 10 are all buyers, and then 2, 4, 6, 7, and 9 are all my sellers.
Yeah.
So yeah, the most of the sellers come from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Macedonia, right, and Indonesia, Pacific Asia, right, and then yep, as I said there, yep, all my buyers are there too. So
And it looks like most of your traffic is coming direct, and there's a significant portion that's referral traffic. You want to talk about the kind of traffic sources a little bit?
sure. Um, Most of my traffic is actually social media. These stats aren't exactly indicative of what's really happening, because you'll see that the social says 48,274, but all those referrals, the 178,323, those are all that is just mostly is URL shorteners, because I use URL shorteners so I can track. So I would say 90% of those referrals are straight from Twitter. Yeah, direct is um, My Cheap Jobs is the third most popular micro job site in the world, below Fiverr and SEO Clerks. So I get a lot of direct because people in like SEO forums and just places like this, they know what My Cheap Jobs is, so they'll just directly pop that into the browser. Organic search, we do very well with mostly long tail keyword. Um, my cheap jobs is just is a long tail keyword king. I mean, you can see there. I mean, pulled in 119,000 organic search. I mean, it does very well. It just doesn't have, like, a lot of sites they'll concentrate on trying to have like trying to dominate a few top keywords, and My Cheap Jobs is not that. It just, it'll do between like 7 and 10,000 organic searches per month, but it'll all be like they'll all be different keywords. So, we don't dominate any top keyword, but we're spread out.
And here, I guess, are some of the pages that are getting a lot of traffic. Obviously, the home page itself, and so
Yeah, the login page. I mean, this is just indicative of how people spend their time on the site. They log in, they're managing their orders or looking at their orders that they've ordered. That's number 8, number 9. They're looking at their inbox, for the messaging service. So that stat page right there is pretty. uh, shows what people do, how they use my cheap jobs basically on the inside.
Yeah. And then here again are some of the traffic sources that we're talking about that you were talking about before.
Yeah, when you see, if you're looking at the analytics and all of a sudden you'll see like, 'cause again, I mean, you can set your watch to this site. I mean, like I said, I mean, the average hits per day is, probably would say like 1150, 1200, and then all of a sudden I'll get like 3000 hits one day, and that's right there, that top refer, that hit leap. Uh, there are sellers who believe that if they join these traffic network sites like HitLeap and like TrafUp.net and Add Me Fast, they'll like add their job into these traffic sites, and then all of a sudden I'll just get this influx, this surge of traffic from these places, and then and I know who it is, I know which seller it is, and I'll just, it's mainly junk traffic, it's literally like 99% bounce rate, like, 10, about 10 seconds on site, and it's just not good traffic. So, but, I can't stop these guys from doing it, but that explains it. And then number two and number three, those, and number four are those URL shorteners I was telling you about. So basically, 34, from McAfee, 34,000, 22,000 from Link Collider, and 10,000 from DFT.BA, which stands for Don't Forget to Be Awesome. They have a URL shortener, but so you got about 70,000, hits there from, that's straight from Twitter. That's all social media. So, there, my top five refers there. I'm very Twitter strong.
Got it. And here's again, kind of an SEO picture of what you were talking about before in terms of 20,000 external backlinks, 980 referring domains, and again, kind of a backlink breakdown. Essential. And again, more analytics, kind of again talking about the backlinks. And then let's get to traffic. All right, so uniques, we're looking at roughly about 45,000,
Right.
pretty strong consistently.
And then last November, that's when I had a seller that was really driving the traffic in with these traffic sites, and that's where you see that spike. 40,000 that's the consistent, never changing number.
And then in terms of views, fits roughly about the same pocket. There was a spike for some reason, I guess, in the summer of last year.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty steady around 300,000.
Right. Again, that's going to be from traffic sites.
Yep. And then this is a look at your admin panel.
Right. Super easy to use. Anybody can do it. Literally half an hour training. It's all, you can see the top navigation there. You click under settings, you can change, just really anything on the site. You can change even your PayPal account. You can change how many jobs are listed on the front page, or you can change your categories. You got the categories there. You can look up the gig tab, see you can see the individual jobs, change them, suspend them, delete them. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really easy.
And again, more examples of what you're talking about.
That's the settings tab, right? And you can see there I have, you can change the website slogan is actually the title of your page. I mean, gigs per page, you see I have it set at 30. You can change, do you want to approve the gigs before somebody, puts it up. You can change that to yes. To all that stuff it's all right there.
And these are examples of the gigs that are sent into the
That
site.
was yeah, that was a snapshot of last week. Um, I think that was last Saturday, I believe, and or last Sunday. And yeah, that's what the orders, when you click on orders, it lists every single order there, lists it, and that's one of the things that I do, that I check in, a couple times a day is, and you'll see, like the fifth one down, it says incomplete, and so I have to, I contact that person and I say, because if it says in progress, that means that, you know, they bought it and then they submitted the information to the seller and then the seller is starting on it and everything's good. But if it says incomplete, that means they didn't submit the information to the seller. That means I have to, I contact them and say, hey, I have a format email and say, hey, you need to, log in and you need to submit the information so we can get this going.
We have a question from Kyle. What percentage of total site sales are social media job types?
90%.
And this is the message flow between the buyers and sellers, or
Right.
between the.
Yep, that's exactly right. So I'll check that once in a while too, and I make sure that they're not, exchanging, trying to take the sale off site.
Right.
Or, I get a lot of people, a lot of spammers that come in and they try to, they've started their own site and they try to pitch their site, so.
And then this is a profile of the revenue.
Yeah, it does 20,000 just, consistently. I mean, that's just what it does. I mean, that just doesn't change. There's never a day that I wake up and, oh my goodness, no sales. I mean, that just doesn't happen. It makes its 20,000 a month, and that's what it does. And it's been doing that for years.
And the cost of goods.
Again, you're going to be at 12,000. I mean, 12,000 is pretty much the average number. I mean, that's again stays constant.
So let's go back a slide. We have a question from David. Hold on 1 second. So why the drop in revenue in 415?
We've been this When I decided to list it, I've been concentrating on, I hired a coder, and we've been working on exclusively, the time that I've spent on the site has been cleaning up the database. It's a long story. I was going to save this part for the end when I got asked the question of what is the future for the site, and I've been working on the future now for the past month or so, and I can explain that more in detail when we come to it. But that's drop in revenue. I mean, it's the same as last May and June. So it's pretty much indicative of this time. Again, you'll see, and you see it, and this is, as I was like telling you earlier, boom, January 15, that's the high point. That's when people are like, gotta get my business going. Yeah, okay, you know, and then, again in February, March, and then it's just in April, it just seems to come down 10%. That's just the trend.
Right.
I don't know why, but that's just. And then as you see in summer, it will come up a little bit, and then this chart is just what it's been doing for the past 4 years. It's it's definitely you know a trend.
And what are the expenses typically for the site?
Expenses are, I include expenses of, the PayPal fees and any hosting costs, which it's only $80. I have I use a VPS through DigitalOcean. Um, I've been told by many coders that, the site isn't really, it doesn't really require a lot of resources or, a lot of bandwidth or anything. It's just the biggest uh, issue that it has is the database is so big. So again, I spent $80 on that, and then coding costs. I spend about 1,500 on average per year, and spread out over. So it's about, I probably would say, 100, 150 a month, spread out over, per month over the cost, over the year. So I just I'm going to be spent my coding costs is this past month or two I've been working with a coder, and we've been doing a lot of work on the site. So my cost for that has gone up, but on average, that's a good average expense right there. It's about 1,500 to 2,000 per month.
All right. So tell us about the day-to-day operation of the site, what's required, and roughly about how many hours are you typically spending on the site.
The site pretty much runs itself. When I get up, the first thing I do is I look at it, what you saw before, the orders. I look at all the orders, and I make sure that every order needs to say in progress. Which means that it needs to, you know, I need to make sure that the buyer has submitted the information. So I check all that, and then I usually have about 50 emails every 12 hours. And so, and that includes notification of payment received and, any problems. I probably have between 3 and 5 issues where people will email me and say, I ordered this and I didn't get it. So can you look into it, or it's late, or I try to contact the seller and they're not contacting me back, and I'll resolve it, right there. So that takes about 15 minutes. And then and of course this is just my schedule. So, the new owner, they can run it however they want to run it. But then at midnight, because I usually work from like 12 to 12 is usually my shift that I'm doing all my different things that I do. So I'll then at midnight uh, I clear out all the jobs that need to be cleared for the sellers that they have sold over the past day, and then they for all the sellers that have withdrawn money, I then pay them. And that takes time. That's a manual thing, and that usually takes me. You have to log into PayPal, and you have to manually pay them. It's not set up automatic. So that takes 15, 20 minutes. So I mean, you're looking at half an hour a day. And like I said, I mean, the site runs, beyond that runs itself. So that's the minimum work required is 1/2 hour.
Site growth and future expectations.
Lot to talk about here. It's again, I set this site up, and it's never been my main site. It's never been my main income. It's never been my main squeeze or my main love. It's been a support site. It's been, one of my arms of marketing. So I have so many things that I want to do with it, and that's part of the reason why the income is, again, gone down, and I haven't spent the time this month, really, really actively promoting it, because over the last month or so, I've sat down with a coder and we've gone over line of the code and the things that I want to do with it. There's a lot of inside automation that needs to be done. Like again, and I could just go on for the next 10, 15 minutes of of all the things that I want to do with it. And I had a conversation with my coder last night that if I'm going to keep the site, that we're going to implement all these things over the next 3 to 4 months. And he's on board and he's excited about it and he understands it. And some of the things are, um, I need a check system that basically checks every every user on the site. If they haven't logged in in say 2 weeks, then I need to send them a notification email that says, hey, where are you? Come on back. So there's no I don't have a newsletter. I don't have any kind of notification system or any kind of check system within the database that says, hey, you know I told him, so again, I was going over this last night with him, and I said, we need the database needs to be checked, and every week have a list of the top selling jobs, and then match those jobs up with people that have purchased those kind of jobs before in the past, so we can bring the buyers back, because unfortunately, my cheap jobs is a it's a way to get into marketing on the cheap, because the jobs are between $5 and $50. So a lot of people come and you know it's a big mix of people. I mean, there's people that are there's resellers there. There's people that are very experienced in marketing. But there's also a lot of beginners, and so a lot of beginners come on the site and they slip through the cracks. So I really wanted to over the next 4 months. I really we're going to be proactively working to seal all those cracks. When somebody comes onto the site, I want to create those safety nets and don't let them slip down, and slip away. And right now, we just don't have any of those things. I just, you saw the numbers for my referrals. We get in a ton of traffic from social media. It's mainly Twitter, and it's good quality traffic. I mean, you see my time on site. 6 minutes time on site. The amount of page or 5 minutes on time on site. 6 page views on average viewed. I mean, people spend time on the site. And if it wasn't for all those bogus traffic, things that these guys submitted, my site to, it'd be much better than that. So, when they come, they're interested, but there's just the site just it needs a lot of inside TLC. It does. So, you know, I would love to do it. And again, if I'm keeping it, you know, I'm excited to see, the things that we're going to do and how, that's going to increase revenue. So that's about it.
So please tell us why you're still on the site.
Well, that's also a long story. I'll try to keep that as short as possible. But basically, I sat down with my wife a year ago, and she was making all this like jewelry and things, and I promised her that I would make her what I called an art star, and so I said, hey, I do all this marketing and all this promotion. I said I should promote your stuff. We should get you going because that's your first love. And so that's what we did. So she sat down, she made a whole bunch of new lines of jewelry, and I've been marketing it. I've been doing 10 times the amount that I do for my cheap jobs, and we've really been getting it out there and selling it. And so or 10 days ago, not last Saturday, but Saturday before, we got a purchase order from Uncommon Goods, which is a big, big site. So she was really excited. And then the next day, I contacted AJ and said, hey, I need to sell the site because, we need to buy a bunch of equipment and this and that. And all these materials, because we got this purchase order, and we're gonna have a deadline to get this filled. So boom, then AJ he got the site up the very next day, and here we are.
And do we have any more questions from any of the audience? Anyone? Okay, excellent. Well, this will conclude our webinar on My Cheap Jobs. I'll be reaching out to everyone just to see if they have any questions. And this site has gotten a lot of traction. A lot of people are looking into it. And yeah, we look forward to talking to you soon and hopefully selling one of you the site. Everybody have a great day.